what's called root cause analysis and really try and figure out what are the things that are causing this to happen. I think crime is a good example. That's another thing that's very, very important to the people in my neighborhood. And you start asking yourself, well, why do we have a crime problem? And I think part of this has to do with the fact that in years past we've drastically reduced the police force. So there's fewer police per square mile, if you will, in Minneapolis and in North Minneapolis in particular than there's ever been. It's gotten smaller and smaller as a ratio of police to constituency. And also, the police don't have the kind of focus that they did. If you think of like back in the Andy Griffith days or whatever, you don't have a police officer walking the beat that you know his name. What happens is when a crime is committed, suddenly the police officers will show up and they'll write you a little blue ticket. And this little blue ticket is your pass card to your insurance company. So it's your form of being able to track this and get some money back from your insurance company. But when you think about, like, why isn't the police department investigating the crime? Like, take this example, my campaign manager, my neighbor who lives right next door to me was burglarized on Father's Day. The thieves came in and stole a bunch of stuff, but they actually left behind quite a trail of evidence. They left behind a fingerprint on a glass bottle. They had a trail leading outside of the house with a broken monitor that was sitting on the ground, showed the path that they had exited from. And they also, there was an eyewitness who said, well, I know who robbed the house, and I know these people, and they were talking about it, and I know where your stuff's at. And we brought this all down to the 4th Precinct, and we basically got told that they don't investigate property crimes. We weren't content to let that go. We kept following up on it, and we eventually found that there were numerous policy violations, numerous protocol violations, and it really should have happened in a different way, the investigation. And so that's part of the problem with the crime situation, is we don't have police officers that are investigating or following up or following procedures.
The policy violations was the lack of involvement that they'd undertaken with this particular case?
Yeah, what should have happened was they should have taken the evidence at the time when the crime was committed. So if there was evidence, they were supposed to collect it at that time. If there was an eyewitness testimony when we told that to the 4th Precinct, a deposition was supposed to have been taken, and that person was supposed to have been interviewed, and then a warrant could have been issued to search the home, and we could have retrieved the goods.
Why didn't they do that?
That's a good question. That's part of what I'm running on as a representative. It's, you know, we say to the police force, this is your job, but where's the accountability? Where's the follow through? Who's making sure that the police department's doing their job? Well, and I think that's part of the leadership in a neighborhood. It's their role to make sure that, you know, things are happening how they're supposed to. Schools are spending money appropriately, that the police department's doing its job. Just follow up and accountability.
That's great. That makes a lot of sense. And I'm not just saying that because you're my guest. I often scratch my head at a lot of the business that representatives and senators do. There's always new horizons and new projects, light rail, Twin Stadium. I understand this, but so much of the activity that I see government undertake, I feel didn't need to happen. But I see them as a leader. You know, they're supposed to be leaders, not self-serving leaders, but leaders as a servant to the community. And I'm really glad to hear that you display that in your speech and in your in the way you come across. I'm really glad to hear that, and I hope people up in your precinct take notice.
Well, and I'm hoping that this show is well watched, and that there will be people in my neighborhood that have a chance to hear my voice and hear my words, and know that I'm committed to North Minneapolis and trying to help make it be a better place.
Well, we'll put your website up here one more time so people can go ahead and go to it, grantcermak.com.
And I'd really encourage people to visit it. I don't believe in being one of these thin candidates that don't post anything. I've got quite a wealth of information up there about myself and about the things that I stand for, so I really encourage people to go out and take a look. www.grantcermak.com.
Great. Thank you for being my first guest on this show.
Well, thanks for having me. It was great to be on the show.
All right. Absolutely wonderful. And so thank you for being a viewer of the inaugural viewing of Minneapolis Expression. This will be the first of several shows that will be played on MTN, and look for us eventually on MTN.org, where these shows will be available for streaming viewing, and so that you can get 24 hours a day availability to Minneapolis' brightest and best, most interesting people that truly make Minneapolis an expressive city. Thanks for watching.